Good evening. My name is Lindsay Olson, and it's my pleasure and privilege to introduce my good friend Chris Callen, CEO of Grit Virtual tonight. I first met Chris when he was a sophomore undergraduate at KU and was impressed with him then and have only been more so since. Chris occasionally has allowed me to mentor him, and in spite of that, he's been wildly successful. The technology that Grit has, I believe, will bring tremendous value to the construction industry, and I believe in it so much that I'm an initial investor in the company. So, without further ado, Chris Callen.
Good evening, my name is Chris Callen and I am CEO of Grit Virtual. I was born into construction, and I've spent the past 4 years leading my family's construction company, perplexed by one challenge. I call it the faster horse problem. Henry Ford is excessively quoted as saying, if I'd asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. For decades, construction softwares have digitized blueprints and the practices that manage them. But digital blueprints are really just a faster horse, the faster digital version of a manual process. Other softwares based around 3D modeling have become very popular, but these require days, if not weeks of training, limiting their use. Analog processes, utilizing only sticky notes, have become much more accepted due to the fact that they engage the entire project team. It probably isn't surprising then that construction is ranked 21st out of 22 industries in its level of digitization, and not coincidentally, also ranked the top industry ripe for disruption. Most scheduling softwares are extremely manual, requiring a human driver. In order to automate this process, we have to ask our user for a different type of input. Rather than immediately asking them to create a schedule, or even identify the individual workflows, we simply ask our users to put their expertise in data that our system can read, calculate, and stitch together to create the entire project plan. This type of software hasn't existed before, so we didn't know what category to put it in, so we made one up. I present to you Grit, the world's first construction planning engine. The type of data we ask for from our users are very simple: resources, durations, dependencies. We allow dozens of crew leaders to plan their own work rather than relying on a single master planner. This results in more reliable data, but just as importantly, an inherent buy-in to the schedule. Our algorithms take these inputs and find workflows that human planners simply cannot. An example of one of these workflows is work area optimization. Just as autonomous cars will communicate with each other in order to travel closely and synchronously, our algorithms coordinate work areas to allow the maximum amount of concurrent tasks to be in process at any given point in time. Just as this type of data hasn't been captured before, it's never been displayed either. And that's why we've created novel dashboards that allow construction professionals to make more informed decisions than ever before. Now, the only thing we know for sure about a plan is going to change. So how do we keep it up to date? And how can we make it better? But more interestingly, how can we make the plan better itself? We start this process by breaking down the entire schedule into daily task lists and distribute them back to individual crew leaders. At the top, you can see where you'll be working for the day and other trades in the area. At the bottom, you see the tasks to be completed at that day. At the end of the day, simply mark complete, all work completed. Our system will identify any planned deviations, optimize the downstream schedule, and notify all parties of any changes. Now, we know some of our crew leaders may not have significant technology experience, and that's why we've created a planning input portal through virtual reality. This instinctive interface allows anyone access to a 3D environment. If you can use a laser pointer, you can select any object. If you can use the buttons on the elevator, you can reach out and input your own subject matter expertise into the team's database. We have tested this on hundreds of people, even my dad, and if my dad can do it, anyone can, I promise you. We utilize VR for 1 day, roughly for every 3 months of construction. Our algorithms can handle the rest. US construction represents about 4% of the US GDP, with an estimated $800 billion of that spent on labor. Even on the conservative end of the available statistics, A quarter of that, $200 billion, is estimated to be wasted. This is the waste that Grit targets. I believe I have one of the best teams in the industry. We have the software development experience to know what can be built, but just as importantly, the construction management experience to know what should be built. We are actively working towards our beta release in spring of 2018, and tonight we are excited to announce our 6th and 7th pilot with Kansas City-based McCown Gordon Construction and J.E. Dunn Construction. Grit's vision is to drastically mitigate the risks for those that construct, own, and insure our built world. Construction job sites can be absolutely chaotic. Hundreds of individuals representing dozens of companies, fleets of vehicles and equipment that must be coordinated. In this constantly changing environment, timing is everything. Thank you.